One European country drains your pension so fast that living on $2,007 means serious debt. Yet, just a short flight away, you can enjoy life and still save 51% of your pension. The reason? The cost of living swings wildly in Europe. A beer might cost $2 in one city and $9 in another. Now, imagine that gap applied to rent, groceries, and every monthly bill. That's how the same $2,000 can buy you freedom or financial stress. After 8 years living in Europe and helping expats like you, I realized that one of their biggest surprises are the extreme differences in living costs between European countries. And today, I'll review how much you can save in each of the 27 EU countries, ranking them from worst to best. Keep watching because the final ranking may flip every assumption you have had about the best countries to retire in Europe. And wait until you see where Italy and Portugal rank on this list. You might be shocked. The criteria. Our budget of $2,007 was not chosen at random. It's the current average monthly Social Security pension paid to retirees in the United States, a practical reference point. The question we will answer is, if you moved to a new country with that income, how much would remain after the basics? To answer this, I analyzed 5 key spending categories: rent for a one-bedroom apartment, utilities, groceries, public transport monthly passes, and entertainment. Entertainment in this case means a gym membership, 4 restaurant meals, a couple of cinema visits, and 20 beers out at a pub, per month, not per night. Cities were carefully chosen too. Instead of focusing on capitals, the analysis looked at mid-sized cities. Capitals like Prague or Warsaw are often much pricier than their countries, while medium cities are attractive to expats due to strong infrastructure, healthcare, and amenities, without the inflated bills. But if you would like me to do a video ranking European capitals, let me know in the comment section. Enough comments and I will do a ranking of the capitals too. So back to our ranking, we start with the worst case. 27. Luxembourg. Luxembourg City is located in the heart of Western Europe, bordered by France, Belgium, and Germany. The city has around 130,000 residents in a nation of just over 650,000. It consistently ranks among the richest places in Europe, with average income exceeding $120,000 per year, nearly 3 times higher than the EU average. That economic strength comes with a cost of living that is almost unmatched. Luxembourg City is best known as a hub for banking and EU institutions, and like most financial hubs, housing costs are sky high. Rent averages $1,820 for a modest flat, which already consumes 91% of a $2,007 pension. A local told something very interesting to us about the housing prices in Luxembourg. Open quote. The prices are extremely high both to purchase and to rent. Unless you have daddy's money or a really high salary, it's impossible for a couple to live here. That's why so many people live in France or Belgium and commute to here to work every day. End quote. And housing is not the only high expense there. Add basic household bills and food expenses, which together are waiting at more than $700. Then comes the leisure budget with an additional $460. A single bill in a local pub there costs easily more than $7. The result is a deficit of almost $1,000 each month, or minus 49%. Retire on our Social Security pension of $2,007 is completely unworkable there. There is a reason so many people live in the borders to work there instead of living in Luxembourg. 26. Netherlands. For the Netherlands, our example is Utrecht, a city with around 360,000 residents, located in the central part of the country and only about 40 kilometers from Amsterdam. But life there is somewhat less costly than in the capital. While Amsterdam's rents often cross $2,000, Utrecht averaged closer to $1,500 for a small apartment. Even cheaper than the capital, it's not a place one could call cheap. Groceries alone are about $355, utilities adds $335, and commuting is another $75. After adding recreation and eating out, all expenses together reach $2,705, a deficit of $698 or 35% of the monthly income. Utrecht demonstrates that even outside the expensive Dutch capital, pensions cannot sustain retirement there. And talking about statistics and rankings, if you enjoy our database and research-driven videos that we put a lot of work to do, I would be glad if you could click on the like and subscribe button. It would be such a great help for us. 25. Ireland. Here the focus is Cork. Located in the southwest of the country, with a population of 220,000, it's the second largest city after Dublin. Compared to the capital, living costs are lower, particularly in housing, as Dublin rents close to $2,000 for a single-bedroom unit, while Cork provides the same space for about $1,450, which is still very expensive for our budget. A $2,007 pension barely covers the main expenses in Cork. While rent carves away most of it, food and monthly bills add further strain. Leisure, which includes dining out or cultural activities, quickly raises the total to $2,660 per month. That means retirees fall short by $653 every month, equal to minus 33 of their income. Cork may be safe and lively, yet the figures show that a single $2,000 pension is not enough. 24. Belgium. For Belgium, Ghent takes the spotlight. Positioned in the Flanders region, it has nearly 270,000 residents and stands as the country's third largest city. Compared to Brussels, where a one-bedroom rental might go above $1,200, Ghent has lower housing costs, attracting students and expats seeking affordability without losing access to services. Looking closely at the expenses, a retiree with this budget spends around $940 on rent, about $285 on household services, and $320 on groceries. Local transit adds around $60, while recreation and eating out demand $480, including some beers, since you're in Belgium. Together, that brings the spending to $2,085. The outcome is negative. Retirees face a monthly debt of $78, equal to 4% below income. It's not a crushing debt, but the shortfall highlights how bills and leisure erase Ghent's lower housing average. Belgium is the last country on our list where a $2,007 pension is not enough to cover living expenses. From this point onward, the countries and cities listed fit inside our budget, and the surpluses just increase. But before jumping to those countries, I have some really good news. My Expat Wealth and Lifestyle Compass, valued at $180, is yours free for a limited time. Receive your 74-page analysis of affordable cities in Spain, Italy, and France, our guide for zero-income tax countries that can save you up to $15,600, and the checklist that prevents costly mistakes. Don't let your chances go away. Scan this QR code now and join us for free. 23. Denmark. In Denmark, we choose Aalborg, in the northern part of Jutland, with about 220,000 residents, making it the fourth largest city in the country. Denmark as a whole is among the wealthiest EU members, with GDP per capita above $68,000, nearly 60% higher than the EU average. Aalborg is also cheaper than Copenhagen, where rent alone can exceed $2,000, so despite Denmark being a very rich and expensive country, Aalborg is relatively accessible for our budget. Rent is under $700, groceries push close to $370, and utilities come in at $350. Public transport adds about $72, entertainment is quite expensive, with our bundle adding $515. It's no surprise that so many Danes go to Germany when they want to have a beer, since it's so expensive there. Combined expenses total almost exactly our $2,007 pension amount and leaves a surplus of just $15, equal to less than 1% of income. So it's technically possible to live in Denmark on a social security pension, but any extra spending or price variation could erase it quickly. 22. Malta. Valletta, Malta's capital, is the smallest capital of the European Union by population. Despite its size, it's Malta's cultural and administrative hub, and its central position on the island makes it a natural choice for retirees. Being the capital, it's more expensive than other Maltese towns, with rental costs leading the way. One-bedroom apartments average around $1,170, consuming over half of our $2,007 pension. Monthly utilities remain manageable at around $175, groceries at around $285, while entertainment pushes the total budget to $1,940. That leaves just $67 remaining from the pension, equal to a slim 3%. The result is that while Valletta offers English as an official language and a healthy Mediterranean lifestyle, living there demands tight financial control with almost no margin. 21. Austria. In Austria, the focus city is Graz. Positioned in the southeast near the Slovenian border, it's the country's second largest city, with about 300,000 residents. Graz is cheaper to live than in the capital Vienna, especially in rent, where housing costs under $680 compared to Vienna's rate that often exceed $1,000. Rent is still the largest expense, but utilities also take a heavy share at $450, driven higher by cold winters. Food at about 220, transportation 75, and leisure activities consume another 390. In total, a retiree on this budget spends nearly $1,920 in Graz. That leaves a positive balance of 87 per month, which equals about 4% of income. It's not a wide margin, but it shows that living modestly in Austria can remain within budget. 20. France. For France, the spotlight is on Annecy. Located in the Haute-Savoie region near the Swiss border, it has a population of about 130,000. In France, living costs vary a lot depending on location. In Paris, rent for a flat can exceed 1,500, but Annecy offers much lower prices. Housing in Annecy averages around 740, monthly bills adds about 305, while groceries are near 330. Public transport costs are low at around 80, and recreation adds another 420. Altogether, total expenses are $1,875 per month, leaving retirees with $132, so 7% of our budget is untouched. Not large, but still provides some breathing space for someone prioritizing the quality of surroundings and steady comfort. 19. Slovenia. Here we choose the capital, since it's the only mid-sized city. Ljubljana has around 300,000 residents, offering a blend of culture, accessibility, and safety that appeals to expats. The city's manageable size means you have reliable healthcare and transport within reach, while still experiencing the architectural charm of Central Europe. Rent average is $900 for a flat. Monthly utilities often reach $340, which is higher than expected for this part of Europe. Add $285 for food, $45 for commuting, and $305 for leisure. That leaves $182 to spare each month, equal to about 9% of the pension. A small surplus, but positive. 18. Finland. In Finland, the example city is Turku. Positioned in the southwest along the coast, it has about 195,000 residents and is one of the country's oldest cities. Compared to Helsinki, where a flat average is around 1,050, Turku is far more affordable at under 700. This difference makes it one of the most realistic options for anyone living on a pension. Household services in Turku are about 240, which for Nordic standards is considered manageable. Food shopping raises costs considerably at 420, and local transit average 70. Leisure is also on the heavy side, adding 390 monthly. Altogether, these expenses reach 1,820. The surplus in Turku is 187 each month, equal to about 9% of income. Even though the numbers show a surplus, the challenge are the seasons. Long winters push heating costs higher, and that often eats into the small margin. 17. Sweden. And here our focus is on Uppsala. Located 70 kilometers north of Stockholm, it's Sweden's fourth largest city with a population of around 177,000. Uppsala is noticeably less expensive than the Swedish capital. A one-bedroom apartment costs around $950, compared to Stockholm where prices can exceed $1,300. The financial picture shows how numbers play out for someone living on $2,007. Rent is the largest share, while utilities consume another $160 and groceries $360. Transportation demands $110, and entertainment expenses are about $435 a month. Now you get why often Swedes prefer to travel to other countries to have fun. Total monthly costs reach around $1,815, so from our budget, $192 remain at the end of the month. From now on, the next countries leave more than 10% of your pension untouched, and contrary to what you might think, among those countries are some of the most developed nations in Europe. 16. Spain. For Spain, the focus city is Valencia. Located on the Mediterranean coast, it has a population of about 790,000 people and serves as the country's third largest city. Compared to Madrid, where one-bedroom rents often exceeds $1,200, Valencia averages around $960, a noticeable cost advantage while still delivering good urban infrastructure. Breaking down expenses gives a clear picture. Utilities are about $180 per month, groceries average $310, and public transport $35. Entertainment as just $270. Spain in general is a country where to have a good time you don't need to break the bank, and that's why I go there multiple times per year. Altogether, that puts total expenses at $1,755 per month, and from our budget, 12%, $252, remains each month. It shows how a city like Valencia provides not just lifestyle appeal, but also a realistic financial cushion. For many, this is Southern Europe at its most retiree-friendly. 15. Germany. In Germany, the focus is Leipzig, positioned in the eastern part of the country with a population of about 600,000 people. While Munich or Hamburg are known for high living costs, Leipzig offers a more affordable balance. Rent alone shows this difference at about 630 in Leipzig. Monthly utility bills, however, are significant at 395 and become even heavier in the colder months. Food costs come in at 315, transportation runs about 68, and recreation averages 345. Adding all categories brings total monthly expenses to around 1,753. The remainder for our budget is 254 each month, or 13% of the income. This creates a comfortable margin and shows how Leipzig can make retirement on a U.S. Social Security pension plausible even in a rich country like Germany. 14. Croatia. For Croatia, the spotlight is on Split. Located on the Adriatic coast, Split is the country's second largest city, with a population of about 160,000 people. Compared to the capital Zagreb, where rents for a one-bedroom average close to $900, housing in Split is more affordable, at around $755. Looking at the pension budget, expenses in Split include utilities at $265, groceries at $250, transportation at $45, and recreation at $385. Total monthly expenses are on average $1,700 for a single person. With a pension of $2,007, that leaves retirees with a surplus of $307, about 15% of their income. Recreation costs are relatively high compared to everyday expenses. Tourists push the price of restaurants higher, yet they do not erase the gains from lower housing, transportation, and bills. 13. Cyprus. In Cyprus, Larnaca takes the focus. Found on the southeastern coast of the island, it has close to 145,000 residents. A one-bedroom apartment in Larnaca costs about $795 per month, a relatively low price when compared to other Mediterranean counterparts like Malta. Utilities reach $230, groceries average $285, local transit costs stay at modest $60, while entertainment is around $310. Adding these expenses together with rent brings the total to around $1,680, keeping in your pocket $327 from our pension, 16% of savings. Cyprus has also many other added benefits, like strong tax incentives, which I cover in another video. 12. Czech Republic. For the Czech Republic, Brno is our highlight. Located in the southeast of the country, it has a population of 380,000 residents, making it the second largest city after Prague. The advantage here is clear. Brno is much cheaper than the capital. Rent for a flat in Prague usually exceeds $1,000, while in Brno the average is about $780 per month. Monthly utility bills, however, are quite high at $345. Groceries are more manageable at $245. The most impressive here is the very low cost of commuting, adding just $30 per month. Recreation is also affordable, living up to the Czech fame for good and cheap beer at just $255. When all costs are combined, total spending is close to $1,652. From our budget, $355 remains, which equals 18% of the total pension. 11. Poland. In Poland, the example city is Gdańsk. Found on the Baltic coast in the north of the country, it has a population of about 470,000 and serves as one of Poland's main port cities. Compared to Warsaw, where a one-bedroom apartment averages close to $1,000, Gdańsk is significantly cheaper at about $745. The difference in rent combined with reasonable food prices creates a noticeable gap in living costs between this historical city and the overpriced Polish capital. Looking at detailed expenses, monthly utility bills take up $335 each month, which is relatively heavy. Groceries are about $240, while public transport remains modest at only $33. Leisure, including eating out, is just $260 per month. In a bar, you can get a pint of beer for just 11.5 zlotys, just $3. The monthly total expenses are $1,613, leaving us with a $394 surplus. And now we enter into the top 10 cheapest countries and mid-sized cities to live in Europe on a $2,007 pension. Surprisingly, the next name is a developed country with incredibly good weather, amazing food, and where people live longer and healthier. 10. Italy. For Italy, the focus is on Bari, a city in the southern region of Apulia along the Adriatic coast, with 315,000 residents. Compared to Rome or Milan, where a one-bedroom apartment regularly exceeds $1,000, Bari is far more affordable. Rent there averages just $670. Traditionally, southern Italy has much lower prices than the rest of the country. Besides rent, utilities at about $235 per month, groceries coming higher at $310, transportation costs average just $39, and entertainment around $310. Adding these totals together, average expenses reach $1,564 each month, leaving $443 untouched from our 2007 budget. Not only does Bari provide a surplus, but it also offers one of the best climates in Europe, a Mediterranean weather similar to California, but at a fraction of the cost. It might get hot there, so a milder Italian alternative is Tuscany, which I cover in another video. 9 is Slovakia. In Slovakia, our focus is Košice. Located in the eastern part of the country, this is Slovakia's second largest city, with 270,000 residents. In Košice, rent still accounts for the largest expense, $670, but both groceries and leisure are affordable at $235 and $260 per month respectively. Transport costs $30, one of the lowest so far. Monthly utility bills are more demanding, with an average cost of $345, reflecting both the colder Central European climate and energy prices. Total expenses are $1,540 per month, so $467 remains from the $2,007 pension, 23% of the total. Month after month, Košice provides breathing room and a sense of security. 8th place, Portugal. Here the spotlight is on Braga, a city in the northern part of the country with a population of about 190,000 people and a cheaper alternative to Lisbon. While rent in Lisbon for a one-bedroom averages over $1,200, in Braga a comparable apartment is about $675. Looking at costs, household utilities average $185 per month, while groceries are about $280. Public transport is not expensive at $25, and leisure adds $270 every month. Overall expenses stays manageable at $1,435. For someone receiving $2,007, the remainder is $572. The balance is not only positive but sizable, providing space for unexpected costs or extra travel. 7. Latvia. Here we exceptionally choose the capital Riga, since there are no other major cities. Riga has nearly 600,000 residents, so more than a quarter of Latvia's total population. Rent in Riga averaged $425 for a flat, among the 3 lowest values in this ranking. Monthly utility bills, however, run high at $365, groceries about $235, commuting $35, and entertainment about $355. Altogether, typical spending reaches $1,415. That leaves our budget with $592, equal to 30% of income remaining after covering recurring costs. 6. Lithuania. Here, Kaunas take the focus. Found in the central part of the country, it's the second largest city with a population of around 300,000. Kaunas is cheaper than the capital Vilnius, especially for housing. A one-bedroom apartment there costs an average $515 per month. Household utility bills come in at $260 per month, groceries average about $240, commuting adds $32, and the entertainment package totals $335. While the leisure bill is higher than someone could expect for Eastern Europe, the overall balance remains favorable. Total monthly spending in Kaunas is $1,382 and the surplus is $625, equal to 31% of the budget and providing good financial comfort. Now time for the top 5, the 5 countries in the EU where the biggest share of your pension would remain in your pocket. 5. Estonia. There we chose Tartu. Located in the southeastern part of the country, it has about 95,000 residents and functions as Estonia's main university hub. Compared to the capital, Tartu is cheaper in almost every category, and lower housing stands out the most. In Tallinn, rent for a one-bedroom can exceed $800, but in Tartu, the average is just $445. Looking at expenses, utilities are the heavier side of the budget, at $315 per month. Groceries coming at $245, transportation is low at $30, and leisure activities average $345. Adding rent, the monthly total rises to 1,380. So 627 remains in our hand from our budget after paying for everything. It's quite surprising for me to realize that Estonia is cheaper than the other two Baltic states, Lithuania and Latvia, since they are the richest and most developed of the three. The next country is one of my favorites in Europe and also among the favorites of our audience, which often asks for us to cover it more. Fourth place, Greece. Thessaloniki is our pick in Greece. Found in the north of the country along the Thermaiki Gulf, it's Greece's second largest city with about 320,000 residents in the urban center and more than 1 million in the metropolitan area. Compared to Athens, costs in Thessaloniki are lower, especially in terms of housing. A flat in Thessaloniki averages $470 per month, while in the capital, the same rental easily reaches double that amount. Monthly bills count for $255, which stays manageable even during winter. Food costs amount to $275 per month, transportation costs $32, and leisure activities cost $320. Adding all categories, the total is close to $1,352. That leaves a pensioner drawing $2,007 per month, with $655 left over, a savings rate of about 33%. The appeal goes beyond numbers. Thessaloniki provides a Mediterranean climate with mild winters, abundant sunshine, and a food culture tied to longevity. Greeks in this region are known to live longer, healthier lives, a lifestyle well balanced between affordability and well-being. Third place, Romania. Our chosen city here is Cluj-Napoca, located in the northwest of the country. It has 320,000 residents and ranks as Romania's second largest city after the capital, Bucharest. Romania's average income is $18,400, one of the lowest within the EU, but that also explains why daily living costs are well below Western European standards. Rents there average $590 for a small apartment. Looking at other expenses, household services in Cluj-Napoca are about $175 per month. Groceries average $220, while commuting remains very affordable at $23. Recreation and entertainment adds another $260. Putting all of these together, the monthly spending total reaches approximately $1,268. With a pension of $2,007, that leaves our budget with $739 remaining. Second place, Bulgaria. For Bulgaria, the chosen city is Varna. Positioned on the Black Sea coast, it has around 340,000 residents, making it the country's third largest city after Sofia and Plovdiv. Bulgaria's GDP per capita is just above $16,000, which is the lowest in the European Union. Compared to the capital, Sofia, Varna is noticeably more affordable. Housing prices alone are far lower, while still offering solid infrastructure and a coastal environment. Expats living on a $2,007 budget find immediate relief in accommodation costs. Rent for a one-bedroom apartment averages $405 per month, one of the lowest values across the European Union. The rest of the expenses are also among the lowest we saw so far. All costs together bring monthly spending to $1,045, so pensioners have $962 left each month after all basic expenses, a 48% surplus of their total income to save or do whatever they want with it. With a combination of low rent and restrained monthly costs, Varna confirms that affordable coastal retirement in the European Union is not only possible but practical. First place, Hungary. The number one place in the European Union where a US Social Security pension leaves the biggest surplus is Szeged, Hungary. Located in the southern part of the country, near the Serbian border, Szeged has about 160,000 residents, making it the third largest city in Hungary after Budapest and Debrecen. Compared to Budapest, where one-bedroom apartments average around $750, in Szeged it averages just $365 per month. Utilities adds another $135, which is among the lowest in the entire region. Then comes groceries at $230, public transport for only $29, and leisure expenses at around $225. The combined monthly cost is $984. So from our $2,007 budget, we are left with $1,023 at the end of the month. More than half of the income remains unspent. That margin is the largest in the European Union. Szeged proves that in the right places in Europe, retirement and a US Social Security pension also leaves room for comfort and choice. But what if instead of a city with over 300,000 residents like those we mentioned today, you would prefer a smaller city or town, where life is lower, prices even lower, and everything looks simpler. For you, I reckon the best small cities and towns to live in Europe. Probably our most important video ever, so click on this icon on your left to watch it. And join my Patreon for all the sources, charts, and maps from our videos, plus a chat, so I can answer your questions. Tier 2 include my top 3 ebooks on living and retiring abroad. Scan the QR code today.